News Radio 1070 WKOK presents On the Mark. It's a chance to voice your opinion on the events that affect life in the Susquehanna Valley. Call 1-800-795-9565 or email onthemark@wkok.com. Now, here are your hosts for On the Mark, Mark Lawrence and Joe McGranahan.
Kings and welcome on board the WKOK Live Telephone Talk Show. It is entitled On the Mark. I am Mark Lawrence, the below-average host of the show. Superlative co-host is across from me is Joe McGranahan, mayor of Shamokin Dam.
And you forgot to mention that you are emperor of Marktopia.
I am the elected, democratically elected mayor of a mythical vision called Marktopia. It's not
no.
town.
You are definitely a dictator there.
Marktopia has no dictation. Sorry, that's how it works. Even in offices.
Yes, it does. If I walk into Marktopia and I say, "Hail to the Redskins," somebody slap me so fast.
Somebody would ask you if you would be interested in modernizing your views. They don't force it on you. So that's why it's Marktopia.
So if I keep walking around Marktopia singing "Hail to the Redskins," after they've asked me nicely to stop, nothing else will happen? I'll still be allowed to go ahead and sing "Hail to the Redskins"?
Yes, and you will eventually get the sense that society's moved on without you, which you do not seem to get that sense now.
So will I be shunned in Marktopia?
Are you starting to feel the discomfort of
I'm
people
not.
who work with you? Really? Because I do. Okay. All right. Oh, wow. All right, we're pretty far into the weeds here on this topic. Joe McGranahan is here. I'm Mark Lawrence. Thank heaven we have Kevin. That's why Kevin and Heaven rhyme, because the K-Dog is on the other side of the glass. He is an award-winning producer, greatest producer in the universe. He recently had to annex part of the western half of the U.S. as a storage location for his many, many awards from the Pennsylvania Associated Press Broadcasters, the Pennsylvania Associated Press Broadcasters Association, RTNDA. He's got a couple of Murrows on the shelf, and he's got awards from NASA. We're not sure what that has to do with play-by-play, but he is an award winner. No argument there. Kevin Hurt. On the Mark, brought to you by the Sunbury Motor Company, family-owned dealership since 1915, 4th Street, Sunbury, routes 11 and 15, Hummels Wharf. More details about them at sunburymotors.com. They invite you to check out the Hyundai. Yes, they do have a hybrid Hyundai, but they got powerful, stylish Hyundais, too. And they got the Kia automobiles. They look sharp, get great gasoline mileage. They got so many incentives. If you buy one and then another, they practically give them to you. Kia, sunburymotors.com, the place to find out about the super automobiles. That is the Kia. Groninger Insurance Agency, located at Front and Duke Streets in beautiful North Pole-Umberland. They are open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5, and Friday, 9 to 4:30. That's where you can find out that the Groninger boys recently purchased, by agreement, the Shamrock Insurance Company, and that adds to the fold of wonderful companies that are at the command of the Groninger Insurance Company. The Groninger boys, along with Paul and Mel, are making sure that you're super served, expectations exceeded, and needs are met. Groningerinsurance.com. And the Lenape Solar email in-basket is open. You simply email onthemark@wkok.com. We read your email on the radio. Lenape's at 140 South 2nd Street, Sunbury, PA. Find them on the web at lenapesolar.com. Check them out. They do have a photo array display set up for you where you can see solar panels and other activities. The ductless HVAC equipment is on display, and they would just love to make sure that one of these floor models ends up, well, the identical one ends up at your home, helping you to save money, or at your business, helping you save a buck. Some news headlines. The man being sought in in Cole Township is from Northumberland County. He's 55-year-old Michael Kenny of the borough of Northumberland. Was training for a marathon in the hilly areas of the Weiser State Forest, some of which is in Schuylkill County, but borders Northumberland County and Cole Township. Turned up missing overnight. A vague cell signal was reported from him. His car was found at the Weiser State Forest, but Michael Kenny not yet found. He's being sought, so we'll keep you posted about that. So we have a lost trainer for a fitness activity. I'm not quite sure why police said it was an ultra-secret police activity, but nonetheless, that's who they say they're now looking for, and he has not yet been located, so we'll keep you posted about that. Route 522 blocked in Beaver Springs because of an injury accident that occurred about 30 minutes ago. We'll keep you posted about that. Lifeline dispatched to that scene, so we'll let you know. Route 522 at or near Beaver Springs blocked because of that crash. A federal judge in Pennsylvania who overturned the state's law barring same-sex marriage rejected a bid by a Schuylkill County official to appeal it. The U.S. District Judge John Jones issued his decision yesterday on the request by the Schuylkill County Clerk Teresa Santagaffney. She had sought to overturn it and asked the judge for permission to become a plaintiff in the case. Governor Tom Corbett's administration was defending the law but declined to appeal. Gaffney said she would like to do so, but the judge says she does not have standing for the appeal process. She could have weighed in during the trial but didn't, and now she lost her standing to project an appeal. And it seems as though the original defendants are the only people who can appeal, and that doesn't seem right to me anyway. But in any event, that's the Judge Jones ruling on that. Not that I want the decision to be overturned, but it seemed to me that any Pennsylvanian should have standing in Pennsylvania laws. And let's see, finally, Dallas County leaders in Texas have passed a resolution supporting reparations to African Americans for years of slavery, even without realizing they had done so. I'll read that again. Dallas County leaders have passed a resolution in Texas supporting reparations to African Americans for years of slavery without even realizing they had done so. The county commissioners unwittingly gave their okay by unanimously passing a Juneteenth resolution Tuesday that stated blacks suffering should be satisfied with monetary and substantial reparations. The meeting agenda made no specific mentions of the exact words of the resolution, but part of it was read aloud by the Commissioner John Wiley Price, who introduced the measure. The resolution went beyond supporting Juneteenth. It included a list of injustices endured by blacks before it endorsed reparations in the final paragraph. The other commissioners admitted afterward they hadn't read the resolution before they voted on it. The vote is non-binding, so no reparations through payments or other means will be made in Dallas County.
What is Juneteenth? Forgive me, my ignorance.
I have no idea at all whatsoever.
You read it as if you knew, I assume.
Oh, well, that's because the Associated Press tells you to read assertively, and I did, but guess what?
Well, maybe our world's greatest producer could look up Juneteenth and tell us exactly what that is and why they were adopting a resolution for it and why that resolution included reparations for blacks for years of slavery.
All right, excellent idea. If only he wasn't fiddling with the video at the time, but we'll ask him to do that.
He's often fiddling with something over there.
Well, he's like one of these technical people. Let's sift through some emails, and we invite your calls. We started talking about political correctness. Now we have the Juneteenth reparations being called for.
Specifically the Redskins, as it refers to political correctness.
All right, this is Sarah Bartlett sends us a note. She says, 55-year-old Michael Kenny of Northumberland was last seen last night. His car was found in a parking lot of the Weiser State Forest. He's a marathon runner and was training for the Bear Gap Hellbender race in August. He happens to be a traveling nurse by trade. A helicopter search along with a ground search and a vehicle search within an 8-mile radius around Weiser State Forest is underway. And that is probably why the search is in such a extensive area rather than just in one particular area. So we thank Sarah Bartlett for that. She also sent us a picture. Let's see if we can get that picture to open. But we invite folks. We started to talk. Oh, that is a picture of Mr. Kenny. Okay, so that's at WKOK.com. So we invite you to check that out. On the topic of the Redskins, one of our smart listeners sends us a note. Says, it's my understanding the name Redskins originated after tribes would rub mud that had a reddish tinge on their skin to make them look more fierce before they entered into battle. Yeah, that is one version of the history. There's actually several theories about it, and one, of course, just because of the redness of a sunburned face, but other innocuous and perhaps even complementary sources of that have been talked about. So I think it's I think the history may be up for debate, but at some point it was used as a derogatory reference or as a negative reference, and therein lies the offense.
Well, you go back to the Indians and Firewater. You remember those references in old Western movies. The Indian is a drunk hanging around outside the general store on the reservation. That's offensive. If they had used some connotation or some representation of that, I could see how they would be offended, and I would be right with them in saying that's got to stop. If they used a cartoonish version of the drunken Indian, if you will, or the inebriated Indian, that certainly would be offensive, and it certainly I would share their outrage at that. But here, I go back and look again at the logo. It's not offensive. It is a noble-looking Indian. Who
Yeah, I don't
looks,
think they're worried about the logo. I think it's just the name.
well, yeah, but that's foolish.
Is
I
it?
mean,
If you are offended, you are a fool.
Or if I was going to keep that logo, if I was going to keep the Redskins logo, and yet change the name of the team, what would I call it?
I don't.
What would you like? What would make you happy, Mark?
As a name for the Redskins?
Yes.
I don't really care what they call them. I just think you should pick something that isn't a derogatory reference toward people.
Well, who says it's derogatory now?
The people who are
Not
appealing
all of
with-
them. Not all of them.
Well, I don't think their claim says that this offends every human in the world or all of any
Okay,
particular
that goes back
group.
to my original question, which you didn't answer. How many people have to be offended by it before we consider it worthy of note? Is it 5 or 10 who filed the lawsuit? Does it have to be several tribes in their entirety? Do they have to be casino owners? I mean, that's an Indian stereotype. Suppose we call them the Washington Washington Native American Casinos. Would that be offensive?
Well, and I think because the NFL is something that is because we know that there are a class of individuals who are offended by it, however big that group is, and I'm still not answering your question directly.
I know you aren't.
But I think since we know that there are individuals that are offended by it, we know that it was used in a derogatory fashion. And the other aspect of the NFL, you've used a couple of analogies, is that it isn't a private organization. Now, it is privately owned by a private individual, but he uses lots of municipal services to make his activities thrive.
They also bring lots of revenue into the community.
Right.
And
Okay. Well,
provide
that's
lots
true.
of jobs.
So, right. So that may be true, but nonetheless, the NFL teams aren't sort of an anonymous club that's tucked back in a corner that no one has to deal with. It is a public thing. So now you have public dollars that go into municipal stadia being used to support a derogatory reference towards not just anybody, but the Native Americans. So
Did they pay for the use of that stadium?
I would imagine that they're involved in the ownership, but I think they use, and I don't know about the Redskins Stadium, but I do know that many stadia are partially funded by municipalities.
It's
so
usually an authority.
Right.
Usually an authority. that
Okay,
runs it.
right. It's an authority, right. Thank you, Mayor. But the fact is that taxpayer dollars are associated with this, so the NFL is not a private organization. So you're not just saying, well, why can't a private organization call themselves what they want to? The fact of the matter is that they are a partially taxpayer-funded organization that has a name
so
that...
the federal government should come after them.
No. You're absolutely wrong, Mark.
Redskins Stadium didn't use any municipal dollars or loans or grants or
They
any
are
help?
paying for the use of that
Right,
they pay for the use of the stadium. They do not own the stadium. They do not get use of it for free.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay.
Just answer yes or no. Were any municipal dollars used in the construction of the stadium?
Not for the Redskins. That's where you misunderstand. That's
For
where you
the stadium.
misunderstand.
They
For the
built
stadium.
the stadium, and the
They
stadium
did
has
not buy
other
it
uses.
for right.
Okay, but my point is that tax dollars are used to support the NFL because of its job creation and economic development aspect.
What tax dollars are used to support the NFL?
Taxpayer dollars are used to support the stadium and the police who support the games and help
But
patrol
you're missing
things.
the whole point. The community builds the stadium. Perhaps it is with the understanding that the team will lease space there. But they use it for other things, for concerts. Every municipality, or most large municipalities, have a stadium of some sort, and that's
All
not just for one person or one group.
I'm not making the case very well if you don't understand it, but the fact is the matter that...
Well, you could be. I might just be stupid. Some of our listeners feel that way.
That thought crossed my mind, but
No,
I didn't
you're just
want...
wrong. That's the difference. You're
didn't-
missing that point. You're
I didn't want to
wrong.
offend you.
Who, me or him?
Anybody.
Mark is wrong on it, though. That's my point.
Cindy,
Okay.
thank you so much for waiting, first of all, and thank you for calling On the Mark. Good morning. You're on the mark.
Subject.
Go ahead.
I wanted to discuss Juneteenth.
Oh,
which
okay, good. Thank you.
Pennsylvania has, for the last several years, I know for sure, passed a resolution remembering Juneteenth Day. Juneteenth Day was originated in Galveston, Texas on June 19th, 1865, when slaves in that state learned that they had been freed by the Emancipation Proclamation. Remember, this is back in the old days when you didn't have email and Twittering and all this other stuff. And there has been a movement to make it a far-reaching holiday here in the United States, and quite a few states pass resolutions every year. This year, Pennsylvania passed a resolution again acknowledging Juneteenth Day.
All right, we got
Recognizes the freeing of the slaves. No.
And their official receipt of the information, correct?
Apparently, yes.
Okay.
And how they endured the transatlantic journey known as the Middle Passage. I'm reading from our Representative Sue Helms' resolution to this effect.
This would be the frivolous resolution in
One
Paris.
one of thousands, frankly,
Tens of
that are passed
thousands.
every year in the Commonwealth.
Right, rather than address real issues. But that's another topic.
Well, you
Go
don't
ahead.
want to deal with the pension because that's a bugger, and you don't want to deal with the fact that you've given so many tax breaks out that now you're not getting in enough money, and your choice is to renege on your tax breaks or raise taxes on the people who continue to pay them.
And we could,
You don't want
we
to
could
deal with
enact
those
legislation.
issues. You don't want to straighten out the funding for sectors of the schools. You don't want to deal with that because that's going to alienate people. But no one gets upset about these frivolous resolutions except myself. And
me.
my
And
upset
me.
about them is we don't have the money or the time to waste passing thousands. The very same one that got passed last year and the year before and the year before.
All right,
I
thank
think
you.
that's a poor use of our money.
Gotcha.
But I wanted
Oops, go
to
ahead.
offer a different perspective about what I think that what we need in this state is recall. I believe that if we had recall, there would be a lot of changes in how our government functions. But currently what we have is you stand for election, as I did, and the people elect you, and come what may, barring high crimes and misdemeanors, you're allowed to malfunction almost with impunity. And it does not serve us well to shield these employees, they're employees of the community, from the consequences of their choices. And I think what we need to do is pass recall as a function. Many states have it, including, as I recall, California recalled their governor when they felt that he had gone too far.
Gotcha.
So
All right.
I think we would benefit from that.
Well, we
Yes.
certainly have a lot of petition drives going on, that's for sure.
All right, 1-800-795-9565. Good morning, Chris. You're on the mark. We got callers lined up, so 3-minute limit. We're talking about political correctness.
3 minutes. Gee whiz. Correct Joe in 3 minutes. He complains
You
about
can start to chip
overreaction,
away at it. How about
and then
that?
overreacts to the whole thing.
Well, that's okay. The next caller is going to correct me, so he's got 3 minutes, too.
I mean, nobody's stopping him from saying Redskins on the airwaves.
That's next.
Why do you think that?
Well, if it's offensive as a team name, wouldn't it be offensive
you can say
to hear
the
at all?
N-word on the airwaves, can't you?
I've heard it on the airwaves, in
Right,
movies,
exactly.
on television programs.
There's no law against it.
No, but it's offensive. It's predictably offensive to people.
Yes, but there's no law against it. That's my point.
Right,
There's
it's not
no law
illegal.
against
It's-
using Redskins. They can still use Redskins. First of all, you haven't looked at what's going on. It was a ruling made by the trademark people,
Right.
following a trademark law.
And
It
you know
does
what the
not
economic
force them
impact of that
to
is.
change their name, so nobody's forcing them to change their name.
No, but they're going to lose a fortune because they won't have exclusivity for their trademark.
If they want to keep the name and they want to follow the trademark laws as have been enforced, also it doesn't go in effect till it's appealed. So you're overreacting to everything.
Well, the fact that they took that action is a cause for overreaction,
Well,
in my
that's
opinion.
what the law says. If your name is derogatory, you can't have a trademark on it.
Then why were they given it in the first place, Chris?
Well, maybe times changed. Maybe nobody thought of it at the time. Who knows?
So, in other words, we're all bound by what someone in the future
So
thinks
are
is
we all
offensive.
bound by what was common 200 years ago?
Perhaps, but at least there's precedent.
You know, there were New York N-word teams and things like that. You know that, don't you?
What?
There were N-word teams.
Oh, you mean using that
in
term?
sports, yes,
Okay.
in sports, yes.
No, I wasn't
And
aware of it.
also as far as erasing history. Nobody's erasing their history. What should they be called instead? Well, they could try getting away with the Reds. They might be communists, and that might offend people, I suppose.
That did offend
I
people.
suppose they could call themselves the Tribe and keep their logo.
Well, maybe that's offensive to people, too.
Maybe. Maybe you should find out first.
All right, thank you, Chris.
I can see that we'll have a
Why do you
national
keep
political.
Overreacting is the point.
All right,
We'll have
we
a
got you,
national political correctness form.
All right,
a
last-
list of words you're allowed to say.
Last caller before the break. Harry, you're on the mark. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
First of all, let me say that I think political correctness is a. I'd say, well, I can't really say what I think it is because I know this is a family show, so I'll just say it's a crock. If somebody's feelings are hurt, then you must change the way you talk, act, do everything else. Whether you were offensive or not, you have to do it, and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, the ruling from that Trademark Commission I find interesting is they have to change the name according to the ruling of the Trademark Commission because it's offensive. However, the Trademark Commission also says if somebody else wants to use that name, it's okay, those logos and everything else that weren't trademarked. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is this is the second time they lost a ruling to the Trademark Commission. The first time it was appealed, and it took a brief 17 years for the case to be adjudicated, where the Redskins lost, then appealed, and it came back again. So now, here we are, we're going to spend another 10, 12, 15, 17 years while this goes through a court case or several cases, and the only people that will get rich on it are lawyers. So it still doesn't solve anybody's feelings or lack of hurt or intent, whatever. And again, it's just a microcosm of how we worry about the insignificant in this country so much.
Why isn't it enough, Harry, that if I'm offended by it, I just don't patronize the team, I don't watch them, I don't, why do I have to have them change for me?
Because that's the American way anymore, Joe. You have to have somebody take care of you.
Yeah, you're right
It's
about
not up to you to be responsible anymore, and it hasn't been. And that's what political correctness is. You need somebody basically to change your diapers instead of putting your big boy pants on and getting on with life.
and you wonder why you're in the minority, Harry. Seriously.
I'm with Harry.
You know what? I can live with that, Mark. I can live with that.
You won't find Harry and I in Marktopia.
Yeah,
Will you, Harry?
Because the biggest thing is I don't treat anybody. I don't go out of my way to treat anybody ignorantly, hurtfully, anything. But because I have a different thought than somebody else, I'm an unthinking, closed-minded, hurtful person. That's not true. I just have a different opinion.
You're
That's
right.
what political correctness truly is. Just a different opinion.
Well, actually, what political correctness is the demand that all of us adopt their opinion of what's right and what's wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And we all march in lockstep.
That's just not going to happen. I mean, if that would be the case, we'd all be sitting around a campfire at the close of the day every night singing Kumbaya, and everybody'd be happy.
All right, we got you.
I'll see you tonight for the campfire, Harry. We'll sing that.
And then you can
Sounds good.
throw rocks over the wall at Martopia. Right. Kevin, real quick, and then we got to take a break.
Well, I wanted to clarify. FedEx Field is not owned by anybody other than the local municipality. So not only do the Redskins play there, but they play Major League Soccer there. They have concerts there. It is not owned by the team. The team does lease or pay a fee to use the stadium.
Right.
Okay. One of our listeners sends a note. As with most private stadium projects, the stadium the Redskins play in receives significant government aid, but less than the norm in a league of growing, saturated with public-financed palaces. Taxpayers put up $70 million for the land, sewer lines, highway interchanges, and other infrastructure necessary to move the stadium to Landover, 5 miles from their old location in Washington, says the Baltimore Sun, and an editorial in the Baltimore Sun. All right, I got to take a quick break. We're going to do that. We'll hit that button right now, and we'll be right back here on WKOK's On the Mark.
If you can hear my voice, you need to stop what you're doing and get to Sunbury Motors Hyundai at the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, where the deals are sizzling. All new Hyundais are priced to move with the biggest discounts of the year. No gimmicks here. All you need to do to qualify is show up. Check out a 2014 Sonata for only $19,716. And we're not talking about a stripped down, stick shift with cranked windows and no AC. This car has a backup camera, power seats, heated seats, Bluetooth, and more. Looking for a leftover? We have a few 2013s left with discounts up to $10,000 and still with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. All with rates as low as 0% and great gas mileage, you can't lose. We're available 24/7 at sunburymotors.com. Or get to the North 4th Street Auto Plaza where Sunbury Motors Hyundai is selling more cars and satisfying more customers. And it has been that way since 1915.
Here's something to think about. How do you know if your insurance is the right price? Have you ever had your insurance reviewed? Do you remember when it was reviewed? And are you getting all the discounts you deserve? Let Groninger Insurance Agency give you a free, no-obligation second opinion on your auto, home, or business insurance. Give the Groninger Insurance Agency a call today at 570-473-8107. They're proud to represent the Erie Insurance Group. It's true, if you're not insured by Groninger Insurance, you're probably paying too much.
Kohl's Hardware can help you retire to your backyard for an instant vacation escape, where you can stretch out in a cushy helicopter hammock swing and relax to the soothing sounds of water in motion with a self-contained fountain. Come on home to Kohl's Hardware for pool chemicals, patio furniture, tiki torches, fire pits, Kingsford charcoal, and more.
Let's go on vacation in your own backyard with everything you need from one convenient store, Kohl's Hardware.
Now at Kohl's Hardware, save up to $20 on Knoebels all-day ride passes. The more you buy, the more you save when you shop at Kohl's Hardware this summer. See store for details.
Cook up your 4th of July celebration on the gold standard of grilling, a quality Weber grill. Kohl's Hardware carries a full line of grilling accessories and offers free assembly and local delivery of all their Weber grills.
Get Kohl's new circular at Kohl'sHardware.com and sign up for exclusive online offers year-round. We're right around the corner, right here in your hometown. Come on home to Kohl's and make your backyard vacation the most relaxing place in town.
Come on home to Kohl's. Kohl's Hardware. Come on home to Kohl's.
News and interviews from your community every morning on WKOK Sunrise.
Our idea for Greenway is 500 miles of interconnected parks, trails, and river towns.
We all want to be watching our children. It's so important to do, but unfortunately our attention gets drawn in other areas. But active supervision, eyes on the child, is so important.
News, sports, AccuWeather, and more every morning on WKOK Sunrise on News Radio 1070 WKOK and WKOK.com.
The name game. Shirley, 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 Burley, Banana, Pineapple, Burley, Beef,
Welcome back. It's all in the name Redskins. We're talking about political correctness. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in our conversation. We're going to continue this. We got Matthew standing by. Hold on one split second, Matthew. I just have to tell people what's happening here. Joe McGranahan is the co-host. Kevin Herr is the greatest engineer in the universe and producer. I am Mark Lawrence, sponsor Sunbury Motor Company, Lenape Solar, and the Groninger Insurance Agency. We're talking about political correctness. Matthew, the most patient caller in Williamsport. He's on the line. Thanks for checking in.
I appreciate you taking my call. I'll be brief. I truly could care less if they change their name, if they don't change their name, but I do have a fact that something that can be looked into. In this country, on the high school level and on the collegiate level, mostly Division, not Division I football, but if you look out west on team names, mostly on Indian reservations and in the western part of the country, there are at this point in time over 50 high school and colleges presently using the name Redskins. So what I find strange is that there are Native Americans using that as their mascot, but yet they are upset that a professional team is using that name and mascot. That's, I guess, just the fact that I have for the day.
All right, thank you. Kevin, our fact checker's clacking even as we speak. 50 other organizations using that name.
You're obviously on the other side of this. And as I said to you moments ago, and I think your answer was interesting, you must be exhausted by the time every word you say that comes out of your mouth, you weigh it as to whether or not you're going to offend someone or hurt someone's feelings. I mean, how do you go through a day like that? I mean, I would be just raving lunatic at the end of the day.
Well, then you must be very relaxed because you don't give a hoot who you bother and who you offend and if any of any derogatory terms come out.
I look at it this way. If I said something to you that you truly found offensive and you said, Joe, I don't like that, I would make note of that and I wouldn't use it again in your presence.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
I would
think,
not set out to deliberately hurt you or offend you. But as you said to me, when you really care about people, you spend a lot of time thinking about it.
Yeah, honestly, I think it is a life-changing. When you start to really respect people, it does change everything you do. If you decide that you don't want to use derogatory terms, it is something that you will think about from time to time. If you decide that the other person next to you, whether they're Native American or white Anglo-Saxon Rotarian from Shamokin Dam, if you decide that you don't wish to offend, you do have to think about it. You do weigh words, and you do sort of participate in a life-changing process. Exhausting isn't the right word. I find it very enriching. The more I raise up other people and care about them and show that care in my actions and words, I don't know. I just feel like a better person.
So those of us who don't do that, and as you define it, we're not caring.
I don't think this is about you. I don't think this is really about how I make you feel or how you choose to feel. No, I think this is about being a better person. Really, one of our listeners referred to this perfectly succinctly, referring to that there's an education, making you interested in not offending people is really what political correctness is all about. It's making you interested in respecting people, not disrespecting them. One of our listeners sends a note, says, I wish people would look at the ruling as Chris from Milton said. You all missed the point, except for Mark. We have freedom of speech and political correctness, and it has nothing to do with making everyone stop using the word. It's a caution that you are an offensive person and should...
Oh, come on, read the whole thing.
Should learn.
You dropped an offensive term out of that. You know you did.
We have to edit the emails. I'm sorry. We don't.
So this person who's talking about not being offended sends an offensive term and we don't read it.
Wait, I was just going to say, if you're sending an offensive term, isn't that offensive, and doesn't that defeat the purpose of your email?
I have been called this offensive term. It has to do with the relativity or relationship to female canines.
All right. For those of you not hung up on individual words, you should learn from being educated. You should learn. You should want not to offend, is what this person is saying. That something that you did or said can hurt someone's feelings or diminish their place in society.
But it's okay to call me the child of a female canine.
No. It is simply saying that some people may think you're an offensive SOB. Are you happy
now? I'm happy, yes.
All right. And
so, in
all
other
these
words,
people who think that...
I'm offended and hurt by that. Should he fall down on his sword and commit Harry-Carry because he offended me?
All right. Kevin says yes. One of our listeners sends us a note, says all those people who think that municipal dollars don't get used for stadia are full of CR. You know how that's spelled.
I haven't said that. No one said that.
No one said you did. I wouldn't take it personally. This isn't about you. This is about other people.
I apologize then. I've offended that emailer by assuming.
Kevin's the only one who was talking about this.
But I never said that there hasn't been money, public money donated to or given to a stadium, not donated.
To raise up stadia. It says $1 billion and counting for Pennsylvania state taxpayer-funded stadia. This is from the Pennsylvania Independent. Between 1999 and 2009, state taxpayers in Pennsylvania coughed up $500 million for sports performance arenas, while county and municipal taxpayers who also pay the state taxes were saddled with similar amount for their facilities.
But here's what's wrong with that. They do that, yes. There are tax dollars sometimes going to these stadia, but people, and a lot of times they're done by referendum, where people actually vote on whether or not the money should be spent. But they look at the revenue they're going to gain from the stadium, and they look at the jobs that will be created by the activities that take place in the stadium. They look at the revenue that will come into the community from the tourists who come to see events at the stadium.
All right.
So, I mean,
You're making my point.
They view it as a money-making proposition. They don't do it just to say, oh, we don't want to lose the team. They do it because in the bottom line, as you know I often say, is that they think it's going to be at some point a moneymaker.
I get that.
Okay,
I'll stipulate that. That's fine.
Thank you.
But what I am saying then is, therefore, if you use a derogatory racist term for a team, it becomes municipally supported racism, because the municipality supports the team by building a stadium that they can utilize, and subsequently, and the team chooses an offensive name, that becomes municipally supported
racism.
This
is racist?
That's a through line that I think you can do. Well, I'm doing it right now.
You're saying it's racist. Mark Lawrence and Marktopia has determined the term redskin is racist.
Dave, you're on the mark. Please, go right ahead.
I wouldn't say it's Marktopia. I'd say it's Mark Manure. Mark Manure. That's what you are, Mark. You're giving everything but the facts. The fact is that the Trade Commission come in there and said, "Hey, you got to change this name." That shouldn't. Nobody should be able to, from the government, should say, "Hey, you have to change the name." They had that trademark for years and years and years, and now because somebody offensive is gonna want them to change it, they're going to change it. No, the government shouldn't work that way. Bring a suit, bring a thing, let them vote on it, do anything but that. We shouldn't have the trademark making the decisions for business.
Sure, the tail wagging the dog, in other words.
You got that right.
Got it. Okay, well, we certainly understand you crystal clearly. Thank you, Dave. Very much appreciated. He is easily understood. Okay, Charlie, last caller before another quick break. Charlie, second caller from Billtown. You're on the mark.
Well, thank you. Did anybody look up the word redskin in a dictionary?
I think that has been part of this conversation. Not today, but on other days and certainly
Okay,
nationally.
well, somebody ought to look up the word, in the dictionary. And the point I want to ask or make is, say whoever's bringing this suit against the Washington Redskins for the name, does that mean nobody else can ever use that word Redskins again?
Probably not. They probably won't be able to get a trademark on it.
But if it's offensive, why? Nobody should be able to not only get a trademark, they should not be able to use it then, right?
Well, apparently the law says that they cannot give you a trademark on a name that is offensive or racist or some kind of an ethnic slur. But my question is, Chris or Charlie, is that why were they given it in the first place?
Well, they first off, they didn't say you can't use it.
No.
What they said was you can't trademark it and have it as your own.
Right.
Yeah.
Means anybody can use it.
Correct.
So
if you want to call yourself the Williamsport Redskins, Charlie, and have your own team, you're in business.
Yeah, I guess. You just can't, I don't know, it seems like it's all about money, and it's all about how far can they push the envelope to tell us what to do, like big government.
Right.
Like the one guy says, we can't, think for ourselves anymore. They want to take care of every little detail in our life.
Amen, brother.
And when are we going to wake up?
I think we just did.
Well, I think some of us are awake, and some of us are still snoring over there on the other side of the table.
And Kevin said 18 months ago. 18 months ago on this show.
Guys.
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, Kevin said 18 months ago on this show, someone's got to do something, and this is that moment.
That used to be on a little blue card on the monitor there.
Think about this, Mark. You bought a house. You're
Can
the
we
landlord.
do this after the break?
No, I want you to think about it during the break because I want you to really think out your answer.
Should I write some of this down?
You bought a house. You're the landlord of the house. I'm using this as an example as the municipality owning the stadium. Are you going to deny someone living in that house or to use that house for whatever reason?
What?
Oh, because they're something they do is wrong.
Right, because Mark was
alluding
to the fact that that the municipality is now attached to the Redskins name because they let the Redskins use the stadium.
Oh, okay.
So if somebody does something in your house that you don't like, are you attached to that house?
They're not attached
to that incident.
They're not attached to the name, they're attached to the offense because it's a municipally supported offense now. All right, we have to take a quick break or I will be in trouble. Kevin will realize that we are behind, and so far he's so engrossed in the conversation he has not noted that. 1-800-795-9565. We call it the Groninger Insurance toll-free line for a reason, because it is sponsored by Groninger Insurance. Lenape Solar email in-basket populated by a brand-new email at the top, which I can't wait to read. Is from one of the smartest women in the world. He is available and on the market. WKOK.com. And, well, you want to move her down? Is that what you want to do?
Oh, I just said it's debatable.
She
may well be.
She may be the smartest woman in the world. Well, that could very well be. 1-800-795-9565 on the market. WKOK.com. Has all this political correctness gone too far? And our main sponsor is the Sunbury Motor Company. We will be right back after.
Here's a bright idea. Why not use light to carry billions of bits of data per second, making network connections hundreds of times faster and much more reliable? That's just what Penn Teledata's fiber optic network does. And we've invested in over 9,000 miles throughout our community connecting schools, banks, healthcare networks, and even wireless towers that enable your smartphone to be, well, smart. Know what else is smart? Connecting your business to our fiber network. See the light with PenTeleData, your recommended source of fiber.
Would you trust a blocked artery to a plumber? Then why trust the health of your network to outdated technology? Connect at the speed of light with PenTeleData's state-of-the-art true fiber optic network, offering the smartest, most reliable data connections to keep operations running stronger than ever before. That's why more doctors and business professionals trust their company to PenTeleData. When choosing a provider, get a second opinion. You'll be glad you did. PenTeleData, your recommended source of fiber.
Hi, I'm Megan from Selinsgrove, and even though I'm 10, I know the #1 cause of car crashes in the U.S. is distracted driving. Sunbury Broadcasting Corporation and Selinsgrove Ford want you to eliminate the distractions in your vehicle. Secure your passengers and equipment, turn down the music, and turn off the cell phone. This message brought to you by the stations of Sunbury Broadcasting Corporation, including News Radio 1070, WKOK, and Selinsgrove Ford, proud supporters of Susquehanna Smart Drive.
I'm here with Chuck from Steininger's Laundry and Dry Cleaning. Now, Chuck, you guys do so much more than just laundry and dry cleaning. Tell me more.
We can clean and preserve wedding gowns, prom gowns. We handle vintage garments. We even clean your favorite purse if you have one, Drew.
I don't have a purse, but Allie does. And you can clean that?
Absolutely.
That is awesome, Chuck. And you guys have plenty of locations around the central Susquehanna Valley, right?
We have 13 locations. And to find a location nearest you, just check us out at steiningerscleaners.com. And remember, if it gets dirty, we can clean it.
For most of us, our homes are our biggest asset. So whether you're buying or selling, work with the best. Hi, this is Larry Johnson from the Bowen Agency Realtors, and we have all the tools to make your home buying or selling process easy and stress-free. BowenAgency.com offers the Valley's easiest to use search feature and the area's first true mobile site. And our team of agents are the best trained and most knowledgeable in the area. Visit us online at BowenAgency.com or stop into one of our offices in Selinsgrove, Lewisburg, or Sunbury. Coming or going, trust the talent at Bowen. Online at BowenAgency.com.
Big day at the O'Bannon trial today. Mark Emmert, the NCAA president's on the witness stand today. Fans should probably root for the NCAA through this to stay intact. We'll talk about that today, 3 to 5, WKOK.
What's your name? I have seen you before.
1-800-795-9565. Political correctness is our topic. 3 emails. We'll put Joe in charge of the rendition.
I don't know. I was just enjoying Don and Juan. That's
That
probably offensive to somebody, too.
Probably is.
This is from Nicole. Nicole says, why is it when the conservatives' feelings are hurt, their outrage is legitimate? I'll tell you what. When the Fox News stops yapping about their made-up war on Christmas, the rest of us will get less sensitive on all these other issues. Let me tell you, Nicole, we conservatives don't often get our feelings that hurt.
Okay. Let's see. Oops, that's a duplicate. From Caitlin, third smartest woman in the world, on the subject of Harry, who loves political incorrectness. She says Harry can spew his opinions because he's not in the minority. Harry suffers from privilege, male privilege, white privilege, and he doesn't even know it. Imagine if white guys like Harry were actually treated like women or minorities are treated, then he'd be crying, says Caitlin, third smartest woman in the world.
I was going to move her down a notch or two on that one.
Were you? Okay.
Yeah.
Not me. She's always near the top.
Then we have this one. Is referring to me as a coal cracker derogatory? I gather that's from somebody in the coal regions.
Yeah, I believe so.
So suppose there was the Shamokin Coal Crackers, a football team. Would that be offensive to people?
One of our listeners does, in fact, ask that question. Dave from Montoursville wants to know if the name Cracker should be changed in the grocery store since it is offensive.
Yes, and that now will be referred to as white crunchy thing for soup.
Yeah, well, they do.
It's going to be a little tough in the packaging.
Some black people call white people crackers. Is that offensive? I don't mind being called a cracker. Do you? Fine, Mark, you're a cracker.
Okay. Let's see, one of our listeners...
See, I didn't offend you, did I?
Joe, the FCC's on line 2 for you.
Over the word cracker?
This is signed by a man named Zach. Says, I don't know if this has been said yet today or not, but if it was another ethnic group, whether or not it was a slur, would we be okay to have it as a sports team name? A few examples, the New York Negroes or the Miami Jews, the San Francisco Orientals. And just because it's been around for a long time is not really an excuse, says Zach. So thank you for that. And finally on the list of emails that fell into the Lenape Solar email in basket,
I'll take this one. Come on, Joe. Joe. You seem to take things to the extreme, and it sometimes makes your point almost ridiculous. Political correctness is just a different word for polite. Oh, sure. Take your words and actions and be polite. Practice the golden rule. That's what I think politically correct is all about. As for redskin, I think we always use the word in a positive image and declare it only to be a good word from now on. Language is dynamic and always changing. That's why we don't use certain words to describe people in ways we previously did. I really want to live in Marktopia. Yeah, well, you'll be two of you there now, maybe a few more. But, you know, I can't say... Margaret has a good point. Suppose the dictionary definition of the word redskin was a Native American resident.
It's not.
No, but it was. Suppose it was. Well, that's in today's dictionary, Kevin, because today's dictionary is a lot different than years gone by.
That's a good point.
And but suppose the dictionary definition was a very positive one. Then who would be complaining?
The actual definition is a North American Indian. And then they also say there is a slang version that's often disparaging and offensive.
So
no,
the slang. How
that's
can
actually
the word
in the dictionary?
A slang version would have to be a different word, wouldn't it?
It says slang, often disparaging and offensive, and it defines redskin as a North American Indian.
I guarantee you look at a dictionary 5 years old, and you probably won't find that definition in it.
I can't say you're wrong. I mean, the origin comes from 1690, by the way.
Well, and I think
reference to a North American Indian is perhaps correct. You'd find that in there.
I don't think the dictionaries, I'm going to try to look it up here, but I don't think dictionaries really change the definitions. It would be added to perhaps to say in the past it was used as a derogatory reference about Native Americans.
Now, if you look further into the origin of the word, one of the considered origins is because one particular tribe, now extinct from Newfoundland, painted themselves with red.
We had that, yes.
Yeah, we did talk
about
some of our listeners said that.
Suppose I made this statement. I was giving a speech, and I said, the American people owe so much of our culture and heritage to the redskin and his noble bearing and his settling the plains and his welcoming us to this country. That's not a disparaging remark.
I think it might be the redskin.
See, my thought is that this is a private business that has chosen this name, whether right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm not judging the name. I'm just saying it should be their option whether they change it. Yeah, if you're offended by it, that's fine, and you can voice your opinion, and you're free to do that. But having having the government step in to force the name change, which as of this moment they have not, but they're trying, that's where I think it's wrong.
I think it isn't just a private team. So, you know, they're on
But it is.
And, well, it may be a private team, but they use municipal stadia to play.
Well,
but it's still a private it's a private business. It's not a government-owned business.
Right. Okay. So that maybe that thread doesn't hold.
Well, I mean, and the other writers remark about the Miami Jews, and that's a religion. You know, that's predictably offensive to somebody. Can you use that term in a positive way? Yes, you can. You say there was we usually would put the word Jewish. You would say a Jewish philanthropist, a man who gave millions of dollars to the area and benefited society. That's not necessarily derogatory, but you can also use that three-letter word in a derogatory way, and has been used that way, and it's predictably offensive to those people. So we're not talking about religious names for teams. We're talking about mascot-type names. Mm-hmm. And the Redskins have been a mascot the same way the Braves have been, the same way the Indians are, the same way the Steelers. It's just...
It's gone too far.
It's gone too far. But we're going to have to take one more break here right now, or we're going to be out of time before we get that break in.
All right. So say the haves. We've gone too far. But the have-nots feel otherwise. 1-800-795-9565. Main sponsor, the Sunbury Motor Company.
If you can hear my voice, you need to stop what you're doing and get to Sunbury Motors Hyundai at the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, where the deals are sizzling. All new Hyundais are priced to move with the biggest discounts of the year. No gimmicks here. All you need to do to qualify is show up. Check out a 2014 Sonata for only $19,716. And we're not talking about a stripped down, stick shift with cranked windows and no AC. This car has a backup camera, power seats, heated seats, Bluetooth, and more. Looking for a leftover? We have a few 2013s left with discounts up to $10,000 and still with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. All with rates as low as 0% and great gas mileage. You can't lose. We're available 24/7 at sunburymotors.com or get to the North 4th Street Auto Plaza where Sunbury Motors Hyundai is selling more cars and satisfying more customers. And it has been that way since 1915.
Hello, this is Justin Charles from Lenape Solar. Did you know that through energy savings of almost $5 million per year, our customers are saving the environment the equivalent of over 98 million miles of driving and eliminating the annual carbon dioxide emissions of over 5,600 homes each year? Do you want to know how to be a part of these amazing numbers? Call us at 286-1496 or visit us online at Facebook or LenapeSolar.com today and find out more about our exclusive Buy American partners for solar energy and energy-efficient lighting upgrades.
These past few years have been tough on all of us. You may have even given up on your dream of owning your own home, but don't give up just yet. We're PHFA. We help people realize their dreams of owning their own home with features like competitive interest rates, down payment and closing cost assistance, and even free home ownership counseling. PHFA can make your dream of home ownership finally come true.
Learn more at phfa.org or call 1-800-822-1174.
I'm Brian Hudson, and we're PHFA. Welcome home.
Go Hunt PA to enjoy the outdoors, to be with family and friends, or to put food on the table. Whatever the reason, the Pennsylvania Game Commission invites you to Go Hunt PA. Log on to pgc.state.pa.us to find information on wildlife, hunting, licensing, and much more. While you're there, subscribe to their email service to get all the latest news, like reminding hunters the 2014-2015 Pennsylvania hunting licenses are on sale now. Check the Game Commission's website for details. Go Hunt PA. Visit pgc.state.pa.us.
Welcome back to the KOK Live Telephone Talk Show. A couple of minutes left. We're going to read some sponsors. We still have a missing man in Cole Township. He is 55-year-old Michael Kenny of Northumberland. That'll be the top story coming up in the news. 3 notes passed our way. 1. My 1963 dictionary talks of an offensive word for many Native Americans. That being, of
talks
course,
of it, yes. It doesn't say what it is.
It is Redskins.
It
Come on
doesn't
now.
say that.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
That's implied. If you respected the letter writer, you would
How
appreciate
about
what
my
he
Native American brothers and sisters? Thank you, Mark. Well played.
Thank you.
My name,
Yeah,
white
we're-
man, him speak straight tongue.
We are all brothers. Oh, yeah, that's not offensive. Don't worry about that.
Well, you look at the Lone
We're
Ranger.
all brothers and sisters in Mark Tokyo.
Look at the Lone Ranger.
Mhm.
I always got a big kick out of that. I'm an old fan of old-time radio, as you know, and I used to love listening to the Lone Ranger. Now, do you know who played Tonto on the Lone Ranger radio program? For the entire run of the program, it was played by an English actor named John Todd. And the Lone Ranger, you know, never went into saloons, never had drinks, always lived straight, morally clean, spoke precise English. And all that time, he never took the time to teach Tonto how to speak correctly. Tonto would still say, that right, you go. You know, so if the Lone Ranger was such a noble person, why didn't he teach Tonto better English?
I have no idea. That is an unanswerable question, but nobody's asking you to go back and change it if that's what you think.
But, I mean, that's the way American Indians were portrayed in the past, and I agree that's the kind of thing that you wouldn't get away with today. And there are some wonderful shows that portray American Indians in different ways and positive ways. Do you watch Longmire by any chance?
No.
All right, what was the Longmire Mysteries? His best friend, he's a sheriff out in Oklahoma or somewhere out west, and his best friend is a Native American. And the interaction between the two is quite good.
All right, one of our listeners sends us a note, says, there were groups of Native Americans who wanted the Atlanta Braves to stop using the tomahawk in their logo. They said it made Native Americans look like all they wanted was war.
Well, and then I said to you, the Seminoles,
Florida
State Seminoles,
Florida State, yeah.
They have their tomahawk chop. They have that
Well,
kind
that
of
was
like
a
Indian
Braves
chant
thing too, right?
Yeah, Atlanta fans did that. But the NCAA decided that the use of Seminoles was honorary and not in a disparaging way. Illinois, the Fighting Illini, they refer to an Indian tribe or a Native American tribe as well, but they are not allowed to use the chief anymore as a mascot.
What about Braves? Why not? Shikellamy Braves. What about Shikellamy Braves?
Braves are not. If you look at the way the NCAA made the decisions, Braves would not be considered a derogatory term where they'd have to change. Neither would Indians.
Okay.
Well, my son went to Lebanon Valley College, and their nickname or their mascot is the Fighting Dutchman. What if Dutchmen don't want to be considered violent? Would that be offensive to Dutchmen?
I don't think so.
Why not?
Let's see. One of our listeners sends us a note.
Look at Notre Dame. An Irish guy, a little leprechaun with his fists. Looks like he's drunk and going to fight somebody.
And on the exact same note, one of our listeners sends a note, says the Meteorological Phenomena Society says they would like Mount Carmel to change their name, too.
Yes, there are no red tornadoes. They could
Right.
be gray tornadoes.
Yes.
But not red ones.
Thank you, folks. This is exhausting. You're listening to News Radio 1070, WKOK Sunbury, changing the world. One conservative at a time takes a lot out of you. This is WKOK Sunbury.